Hi there. So I thought I would film in this beautiful forest and my happy place with my dog. I don't know if you can see her. Anyways, I waste too much of your time. But yeah, so do some unscripted stuff. So I was reading Facebook today and there's some discussion on this really annoying thing that occurs with a lot of people about diabetic systems that we use. What I mean by systems is insulin pumps versus injections, CGMs versus glucometers. And it got me thinking, of course, that yeah, I totally hear this gentleman on Facebook forum. I think the channel is called Fuck Type 1, which is very vulgar, but very raw and real stuff, real issues that you and I deal with. So I thought I would share my take on systems. The systems I use go back and forth to the point where I annoy my endocrinologist quite a bit. Today I'm using my insulin pump. I plan to take some vacation this weekend, do some hiking. It works for me. When I'm not on my insulin pump, I use injections. But the point is no system is perfect. Systems fail all the time, especially with diabetes. So you can try your best to have a good system, but it'll fail. And this poor guy, this poor chap online, he was talking about basically put a sensor in, didn't work, woke him up, overate, checked his glucometer, it was different than his sensor. And you know how it goes. The roller coaster begins, you end up overeating for lows and not eating enough when you need to. So it kind of, if your system isn't working and it's failing, it'll lead you down a really bad path for diabetes management. But anyways, I thought I would just drop that line and sort of talk about the systems I use. So like I said, I go back and forth from pump to injections. The insulin pump is more for a mental break, keeps my blood sugars A1 overnight. I can look forward to waking up with a really good sugar in the morning every single time without fail. And to me, that's very, very good for the mental health. So if I find on my injections where I'm not able to sleep through the night quite frequently because of blood sugar lows, I tend to have more lows on injections than I do on the pump. So just if you're looking into getting a pump, that's one of the major benefits, that I find. Another thing too is the mental freedom. You put the pump in, you leave it on autopilot for 3 days once it's all set up, of course. You count your carbs. You basically, in my case, if I'm eating low carb, I've figured that out too. Too much to get into today, but I know pretty much what to take for everything I eat. So it's a really nice mental break for type 1 diabetes. And one of my colleagues at work is looking into getting one. So I wish her well with that. And anybody looking into getting a pump, yeah, there's pros and cons. When they do work, they work brilliantly. Some of the disadvantages I find doing full contact sports, you get a needle stuck in you, not that comfortable sometimes. But overall, autopilot, no lows basically on the pump. Looking at my stats, I had no lows the last time I was on. This time around, I've had a couple, but that's because I transitioned pretty quickly from long-acting Tresiba onto the pump without waiting a little bit longer. So that's the pump. I'm on a Tandem pump. I put the dog down, but I kind of probably see it here. There it is. That's my system right now. So when I'm not on the pump, I use injections, and I use a long-acting at night, Tresiba, and basically take injections whenever I eat. So there you go. That system has its flaws as well. You have to carry around injections with you all the time. You have to also carry an emergency kit for the pump too, but that's another story. But this poor chap online, I just want you to know, I hear you. He had diabetes for 30 years. I've had diabetes for 43 years. And you can have the best system going smoothly. And Houston, we have a problem. There's always issues with diabetes. You do the same thing every day, like I say, all the time. And lo and behold, your system will fail. So always have plan A, B, and C, I like to say. Bring extra supplies if you're using a pump. Bring extra insulin if you're using injections. Another thing with both pump and injections, time your doses properly so they work with your food system. Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about systems in general, just for living life as a busy type 1 single dad and working full-time. Having a routine, having standards and systems that work most of the time are a godsend. Anyways, thanks for listening to me ramble. Check out my last videos here. If you want to subscribe for more of this content, please do. Look forward to talking to you next.